the Suicide Monk Podcast, a platform dedicated to fostering open and honest conversations about the deeply sensitive and complex topic of suicide. Before we delve into the narratives and discussions presented here, it's important to emphasize that we are not medical professionals, therapists, or counselors. We do not possess the qualifications to offer clinical advice or treatment. Instead, the Suicide Monk Podcast serves as a safe space for individuals to share their personal stories and experiences, all while preserving their anonymity. We encourage our guests to tell their stories anonymously, recognizing that privacy and anonymity can be crucial for those who wish to share their experiences without fear of judgment or exposure. Our mission is to create a supportive community, raise awareness, and promote understanding, all while emphasizing that seeking professional help is crucial when dealing with mental health issues and suicidal thoughts. If you or someone you know is in crisis, please reach out to a mental health professional or contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255 for immediate assistance. Together, the Suicide Monk Podcast aims to break the stigma surrounding mental health and let those who are struggling know they are not alone.
Welcome to the Suicide Monk, and we're going to recap a little bit on last week's episode of addiction, sex, suicide, ideology, and pregnancy. And that's where we're going to pick up this week, is with the pregnancy. And then going to venture down the road of looking at a little bit of recovery, acceptance, life, paths to healing, and emotional streakers. So sit back and relax and enjoy. So you're in your early 20s, and this is occurring about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, early 20s, about a year and a half ago. Drastically different from where I am now, but still dealing with this addiction, except at this point in time, I have a boyfriend, so it wasn't as harmful as the beginning of it was still an addiction. It's still harmful. It's still overdoing something. But
yeah.
But this is where I started to pick up that it was an addiction, because for me, it was something that I was actively pursuing all the time. More actively than my boyfriend at the time. And that's when I kind of noticed, I was like, oh, is this a me thing? I was like, I've never run into this problem before. I was like, is it a him thing? Is it a me thing? And that's when I kind of realized, oh crap, this might be a me thing. And then I got pregnant. I just thought I was being safe, was on birth control, all the things you're supposed to do as a responsible adult. And don't get me wrong, through this entire addiction, I think I was more responsible than most people are. So, yeah. But I guess not.
Why do you say
pregnancy.
That? You mean in regards to being conscious of trying not to get pregnant?
That, and I think
even in the midst of addiction, we tend to let our guard down. So that's what you're kind of saying, is that even though you were full blown in it, you were being cautious.
Oh yeah, I was being cautious. I was the person where if I had been with a new partner, you better bet I was going and getting tested. Like, I made sure other people were tested, like all the forms of protection. So I was still super safe. Like, shout out to my autism for that one, because it was definitely like, no, there's a procedure here. We have to follow it. I know this is harmful, but process.
Right. So basically you were wearing full latex bodysuits.
Yeah. Yeah. No actual skin-to-skin contact.
Right. There you go.
Leave all the extra room for protection. But got pregnant. Did not know I was pregnant for a very long time. So continued to struggle with this addiction that got worse. Because I don't know if you know anything about females and pregnancy, but when we're pregnant, when our body's actively in that state, our hormones go up, and so does our sex drive. Like, drastically.
Yeah, I think that if it's already heightened, it probably increased it. I mean, for some women, I think that goes down, or maybe naturally. I have no idea. But when you're already heightened into an addictive state, it's probably going to heighten it even more.
Oh yeah. So I was still dealing with this addiction. I had this pregnancy going on that I had no idea about for a while because I have celiac disease, which if you know anything about celiac,
I don't. Why don't you explain that to me real quick?
So it's a gut health disease. It's gluten kills the cilia in your small intestine and eventually just wipes out your way to absorb nutrients at all. So it slowly kills you.
Yeah.
But the bloating you get with celiac, the way you can kind of like diagnose without a doctor of celiac is your bloating will make you look like you're pregnant. That's like a super key sign of celiac is the way you bloat.
Okay.
So, didn't know I was pregnant. Kept on trotting through this addiction. Broke up with the boyfriend. Still heavy on this addiction. Found another partner that I just vibed with. Continued this addiction. Continued drinking. Continued partying. All of these things that are not good to do while you're pregnant.
Right.
At all. And through this, I kind of like was waking up as well. I think there's one drastic point where I woke up and
emotionally started to wake up.
Yeah, emotionally started to wake up. And
spiritually?
Yeah, both. And when I emotionally and spiritually started to wake up, that's actually when I found out I was pregnant too. So I had just gotten back from a trip. You were actually with me on this trip. It's so fun of a trip.
Yeah, it was great.
It was a great time. Not good for the things I was struggling with though.
No.
Not good.
We're like, where'd Courtney go?
No.
Where'd she go?
They're
she's
like
missing.
She's just gone. I just disappeared. I got swallowed up by the crowd and the drinking and the party scene for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Well, it was a great place to do it.
Oh yeah. I think I ended up staying an extra day longer than you guys.
Really?
I stayed with a different group of people that were just like, yeah, we're just going to adopt you real quick and you're just going to stay with us another night.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, get home from this trip. I have my sister over because I obviously haven't seen her in a couple days, and I missed her. And I'm laying up in my bed. At this point, I was coming off of the weekend bender hangover, hanging out with my sister.
Our weekend?
Our weekend.
That we went to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hanging out with my sister, and I just get this massive pain in my body. And I'm like, okay, I did just drink like a fish. It's probably like my body rejecting the fact that I just treated it like crap. No.
Right.
No. It was a whole different story. So I rush downstairs, turn on a hot shower. Heat always helps pain. Especially like cramping pain. Get in a hot shower. On a technicality, I gave birth in that shower because I had a miscarriage and I was 3 months and 2 weeks pregnant.
Wow.
So how many weeks is that? I know you measure pregnancy in weeks, but like that never, my brain can't calculate that for some reason. Like I don't like measuring things in weeks. So I know I was 3 months and 2 weeks pregnant at the time. But
so about 14 weeks. Is that what that is? 4, 8, 12, yeah. 13, 14.
Yeah.
So you're about 14 weeks pregnant at that point.
I was into my second trimester at that point. So the type of miscarriage I actually had was less than 2% of women that have miscarriages. This is the type that they'll have.
Oh, wow.
So it was like very, very rare. When you get into the second trimester, people tend to assume they're safe from miscarriages.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the safe zone. That's when people usually start telling people.
Right.
And
never seems safe.
no.
It really doesn't. And
No.
from start to till until you die as a parent.
Yeah.
It's never safe.
Yeah.
For your children.
No. So I dealt with that miscarriage and just, it didn't hurt me. Like, that was my moment where I realized, oh crap, I'm in an addiction. The realization that I had that addiction, and like literally right after I had a miscarriage, I wanted to go have sex. I was like, there's something wrong with my brain.
Well, I mean, that's no different than trying to cure a hangover with alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like.
It sounds really messed up. It sounds really fucked up, but that's kind of what you become. You become disassociated with and absent from your own life and what's going on, especially with your body, because you're trying to kill yourself anyway.
Yeah.
That's like.
So I'm coming to this realization that, shit, this is a big, big problem. I wasn't, and this is a take that women are going to be very mad at me about, but it's my opinion. They can screw off. You're free to have your valid emotions, but let me have my emotionlessness. So the miscarriage did not bother me at all. Like, I think I had 30 minutes of crying, just having my little moment. And then I was like, actually, this is not a bad thing. I was like,
Well, you feel like you just dodged a bullet.
Not necessarily that. For me, it was like who the kid would have been with. I was like, oh, God, I could not have co-parented with that person.
Well, it's not just that. What kids generally do, even in deep addiction, is they kind of wake you up. So there's this risk and this element that, well, if I have a kid, now I have to be responsible. And now I have to get off my party and do something. Or you don't, and you just transferred all that stuff that you grew up with. And everything that has been hurt by you, you've just transferred to that child.
Yeah. That, I guess I never really put that into perspective for it. Because after that happened is kind of when I cleaned up my life anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So that initially was probably part of the reason why my brain just goes, okay, this isn't a bad thing. This isn't a problem. Like, get your 30 minutes of crying out of the way and you'll be fine. And so.
Do you remember running into me right after that? At the gas station?
Oh my gosh, yeah, because I told you. I was like, hey, crazy info here. I just kind of didn't care. Like, it wasn't something I hid. Like, I was very like, yeah, I was pregnant. Most people, like, don't tell people that.
Right.
Like, most people don't tell people that happened. And I think in the moment, I was like, no, I need to talk about this. Like, this is going to be something to get my mind away from the addiction. I don't know. I was frazzled at that point in my life. I can't even.
You looked a little frazzled.
Oh, I couldn't even explain what was going on in my own head. Like, I didn't know how to process stuff. I was just finding out that I'm deep into an addiction, like bad, balls deep.
Right.
Jesus.
Well, that is a good. Well, there's every
Good
bit
reference.
every bit of pun intended on that one.
Maybe a little bit, yeah. So I'm trying to get away from this addiction, which is cold turkeying any addiction. Oh, that's so bad.
It's hard. It is very difficult to do so, but I personally think that's the only way you can do it. Now, that being said, you can't just, there's some drugs you can't just stop. You have to wean off or you die. Like alcohol.
Yeah.
If you're severely alcoholic, if you get the tremors, you need a freaking beer to calm the tremors and then get help.
You need something to supplement it.
Yeah. Yeah. You need something to stop your body from going into shock, which is probably not the case with sex. It's
not, but you do get overwhelming anxiety. Like
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I
that's a good
probably,
point.
I went cold turkey off that. And my body physically broke down with anxiety. Like, I was constantly fatigued. I just felt sore all the time. I had panic attacks probably daily at this point. Just trying to not text somebody and be like, hey, do you want to hang out? Which sounds so stupid. It's the dumbest addiction. Because you should just be able to be like, no, I'm just not going to do this thing. But your brain craves it so incredibly bad that you're like, yeah, I can text this person that is not good news for me and I've never actually enjoyed hanging out with. Like, yeah, that's a grand idea.
Right.
It's, oh man, looking back at it, it's a hilarious addiction, but also so messed up. But I guess comedy is how I cope with things. So, yeah, at that point, cold turkeying the addiction, my emotions were getting better though. My body was obviously struggling with the fact that I wasn't feeding my addiction, but mentally, I felt a lot better about myself. I still had the little bits of suicidal thoughts here and there, nothing as frequent as they were.
So when you started to change course, the thought process started to change.
Yeah.
The self-deprecating, suicidal end of my life, everybody would be better off without me, started to change.
Yeah. So I switched courses here and I changed my path. And a big thing that actually helped me switch and change my path, I got out of a really toxic friend group, got out of a really toxic roommate situation. So moved back in with family. And I got a dog. Dude, my dog was a huge part of helping with my addiction. It was a new responsibility. I did not care about anything or anybody more than my dog. Like, he's constantly with me. He's the best dog in the entire world. I firmly believe that. But he was definitely a big part of helping me with my addiction. Because he was something that I had to care for. And it wasn't just me looking out for me anymore.
Right. Well, that's, it seems silly, but, and I'll probably say this throughout the course of my life, is when you have purpose, genuine purpose, and that generally includes love in some sort of fashion, whether that be for yourself, the people you're working with, the people you're working for, the people you're taking care of. But if you notice, it's all about something else besides you. And that's when you give yourself purpose, you tend to peel away the dragon that's constantly breathing down the back of your neck.
Yeah, he was definitely my purpose. And still is. I've added on layers of purpose, for sure. But he was definitely like, the week I got him, I was kind of on the edge of between two different decisions. I had found my dog online, and I had booked a trip to Hawaii, a one-way ticket. I was going to go live and be a bum and have nothing in Hawaii. Like, that was the first place where I didn't feed my addiction. I had the anxiety, but I had felt safe there. So I had bought this ticket to Hawaii. I had sold a bunch of my stuff. I was going to go live and have nothing and be homeless on the beach. Like, that was the plan.
That's not a bad place.
No, like the greatest place to be homeless.
Right.
In any argument. But I had enough money in my pockets to where I would have been stable for food. If I needed to get like a hotel or like a motel for a night, If it was stormy, like I had the money there. I was going to find maybe like a small part-time job and just be a homeless beach bum. And then I saw my dog on the internet. I was like, oh, okay. So I can go live and be a homeless beach bum. Or I can have a best friend who just has to be my best friend because I love him and feed him. Like,
Right.
So I ended up getting a refund.
Well, I think most dogs are injected with love.
Yeah. Mine can kind of be an asshole, but I know at the end of the day he loves me.
Right.
Like sometimes in the middle of the night, he'll be like, oh, let's just bite your face for no fucking reason and wake you up from your sleep like a complete asshole. Like, that's just him.
Perfect.
He thinks it's okay, so I'm not going to correct him because it's his learning and growing process, and I'm going to be a good parent.
Right.
Horrible of me, but oh well. But yeah, didn't go to Hawaii. Got a dog. Dog.
Wow, just
ended up saving my life.
Fluff the ticket, huh?
Yeah, I got a refund for the ticket.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was really shocked. I guess like it's a lot easier to get refunds for that kind of stuff now, like post COVID for flights.
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know. I haven't flown much.
Fantastic.
I think I've only flown once or twice since COVID. I'm tired of airports and all the BS. But anyway, go ahead.
So he was my initial purpose. And then I kind of got into January, February part again. And this is when I could legally consume alcohol and legally go to bars. Because I was illegally doing that before on a very high level. But now I'm legal. I can go to bars, I can go to drink, I don't have to worry about a fake ID. And the drinking kicked in a little bit, but I think because of my dog, it didn't kick in as heavy as most people do when they turn 21.
So you started to gain a conscience.
Yes.
Oh, I gotta go feed the thing. I gotta go let it out. It's gonna pee everywhere.
Like I was like, I can't leave my dog home alone.
All night by itself.
So I actually had to have a schedule. And so that became another layer of purpose, was this schedule. Because before, I had work, and I had to be at work. But I was definitely one of those people, I was like, how late, realistically? Not realistically, I stayed up way past when I should have been up.
Right.
Every day. But in my brain, I was like, realistically, I can run off of 2 hours of sleep. And I can get ready-ish in 15 minutes. So I'd push my limits. I'd stay up until like 4 a.m. And then I'd wake up 15 minutes before I had to walk out the door, throw on some clothes, throw my hair up, and look horrible at my job. Like, looking back at pictures now, I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like, how did they let me show up like that?
Well, it was probably borderline. They're probably like, we want to say something, but then we get sued.
Like, is she going to have a mental breakdown
like, hey,
if we tell her?
Hey, Court, you need a shower today.
Right?
You're looking a little greasy.
Like, hey, have you thought about taking care of yourself? And then I just have like a massive panic attack on the floor of the work.
Yeah.
And I think they just didn't want to get involved. I don't blame them at all. Great, caring, amazing people, but I would not have wanted to step towards that hot mess either.
Right.
But yeah, so I got this schedule, which was nice and relaxing and purposeful. And my dog was a big part of that. And then I got friends who genuinely cared about me.
Yeah.
So this is where the good friends kind of roll back into my life. Good group of guys and girls who wanted to walk beside me and did not want to have sex with me. Like, before, I was surrounding myself with quote-unquote friends, but a lot of them were like sex friends, like people who were just trying to have sex with me.
Right.
And they were like leading on this friendship or letting this friendship be a thing because they knew it could potentially lead to sex. And now I have friends who, I mean, it's just wild that they actually respect me as a person.
Well, what do you think that is?
Oh, I think it's just my, like, I don't know.
Well, maybe because you started respecting yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that part of it.
I started being myself.
Well, that's fair. Yeah.
I stopped trying to fit in. I was like, whatever. If people aren't going to accept me, I'll just have no friends. And then they just kind of showed up. And I was like, oh, this is nice. This is enjoyable. And I think it was from this point. It's October now? It's about the middle of October. It's getting to the middle of October. I have not had a suicidal thought since March.
So you're 6 months in, something like that.
Yeah. I feel the healing starting to change me as well. Like, the beginning of the healing, every once in a while, I'd fall back into my addiction, and I'd give into it, and I knew it was not just, like, having intimacy with a partner, like, it was definitely having little bouts of, can you call it? I guess it's still considered a relapse. Having little relapses.
Well, yeah, but and seeing this is we'll kind of talk about this in a second. But how do you get away from? Because it's a natural desire. It's a healthy desire. It's like food. When you abuse food, how do you back off? Like, I don't understand that. Like, it's not something you're gonna stop, but maybe it's the mentality behind it.
It's definitely the mentality.
Okay.
So when I would have my little relapses with it, it was definitely just for the dopamine rush. Like, I didn't necessarily care about the person I was with. Or, like, there wasn't love behind it. And you can tell. You can definitely tell. Because if you're checked out or the other person's checked out, it's different.
Yep.
It's just different. But so first couple months in of kind of like going down my path of recovery, I did have a couple of my little slip-ups, my little relapses, worked on noticing them and trying to avoid them, pulling myself out of situations that I shouldn't be in, getting to sleep on time. Wildly enough, I guess science is right. If you actually sleep, you tend to be a happier person.
Yeah.
And I was actually getting adequate sleep. And I was like, oh, this is nice. Maybe I should have tried this in the first place.
Yeah, like the minimum is supposed to be like 6 hours and max is like 8 or something like that.
Oh, I get a solid 8 now.
That's good.
Oh, it's fantastic. The nights I can't sleep too, I've got this little like weed toker thingy. Mm-hmm. It's just a little disposable thing. I'm not really a weedy person, but it's a nice little thing. It'll put me to sleep. I go nuts now if I don't get my 8 hours. Like, yeah. I'm not someone you want to be around if I have not had my adequate amount of sleep anymore, just because I rely on it so heavily now.
Right. Well, it's healing in nature. I mean, especially, I feel you on this because I've been struggling the last couple months being on the road, of getting good rest and quality quiet time. If you don't have quality quiet time in your life, man, it can destroy you.
That kind of leads perfectly into my other next point of what I did to heal. I read it somewhere, maybe in a book, maybe I heard it I don't know. I heard it or read it somewhere that you're supposed to do at least 2 acts of self-care a day for 15 minutes. Realistically, I can always guarantee getting 1 in. I try to aim for 2. This is like, take a nice warm 15-minute shower playing your favorite music and just jam out. Like, do something you like twice a day for 15 minutes.
Yeah, I learned that several years ago that,
The self-care.
well, it is. Like I would, for no reason other than I was feeling a little blue, I would dress up and I would take myself to lunch or dinner, or if I had to work, I would dress up and go to the cafe and just kind of get in my zone. But I got out of my house and I went into public where I'm uncomfortable and learned how to meld into that. And I did it enough that I it doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah.
But it's something that I can do, that I can always do for myself, that I know I enjoy. And that's taking some quality time for myself.
Stepping out of our comfort zones is huge for people who are struggling with mental illness,
Yeah.
addiction. When I had to start loving my body again. Because when you're dealing with that addiction, you don't love your body.
Well, yeah, you don't love your body for sure, and you probably don't love yourself very much.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's not just the emotional not loving yourself. Like, you genuinely, it's hard to look in a mirror. So...
Didn't you ever wonder why somebody would want you then?
Oh, yeah. All the time. Like, I would ask people. I was somebody's worst nightmare. If we were engaged in anything, I'd always be like, but why? Like, why me? And I'd ask like far too many questions, and they were like, you're complicating this so much. This is no longer enjoyable. I'm like, yeah, I know. But I need feedback. I'm doing a survey here. Can you please fill out these questions and give them back to me so I can figure out where I am shit and where I'm good?
Right.
I
That's funny.
should have. I should have.
You're gonna have to fill this survey out real quick. I know we're shit faced, but
just go.
It's a questionnaire. It needs to be honest.
email everyone. Send out a mass email. All right, hey.
Right.
Completely anonymous. Fill out this 10-question survey.
Right.
I need to know. But you said you went and you'd dress up and you'd go out to places and sit and be alone and.
Yeah, dress up dress up nice. I don't know if I said that. I don't know, dress up as a cat or anything, but go out in public and be like,
just putting on Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
One day you're Freddy Krueger.
Right.
Yeah. So I kind of did the same thing, but I stayed inside, where I'd either put on like a very nice form-fitting dress that I thought complimented my body, or I'd go and pick out a nice robe and nice lingerie, and I'd just sit and maybe have a snack and watch a movie. But in that time, I was meditating and focusing in on myself and on the things that I loved about my body to kind of get that positive image back that I had destroyed with my addiction.
Oh, that's fair.
And I did a lot of things like that. Like recently, I've been making it a point to every day do something that makes me feel uncomfortable.
Like what?
So I don't like talking to strangers whatsoever. Severe social anxiety.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you don't seem to mind when you're partying.
Alcohol is a different story.
That's a little different, isn't it?
A
little social butterfly. We did lose you. Go ahead.
Yes, that is very true.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Yeah, I can make it seem like I'm super comfortable talking to everybody. Right. Like, every time I tell people that I have, like, crippling social anxiety, they're like, no way. You can go up and talk to anybody and make them laugh. I'm like, yeah, but the whole time I'm dying inside. So I've made it a point to, like, compliment a stranger or start a conversation or disrupt a pattern I've already built. So at work, I have like a pattern of stuff I say, things I do every day. Like I have an order. I go into work and I make these type of calls. And then at 10 o'clock, I switch to a different list and I call those, like I have a structure.
Right.
So I'll do things like I'll put my pens on the other side of my desk because that's not where they're supposed to be. And just little things that would usually like upset my brain. I'm trying to be more comfortable with chaos.
Yeah.
And it helps. It helps me get out of my head.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think in your childhood that chaos created the organization and that's why it's so uncomfortable?
I feel like I didn't have organization in my childhood.
Yeah, it was chaotic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely created as an adult, the need.
So chaos is almost like instability.
Yeah.
But you can actually have stability in chaos.
Yeah, which is what I'm trying to build, for sure.
Yeah.
So
you're trying to find a balance.
Yeah.
Between the two.
Yeah.
Because one extreme to the other is never good.
Yeah. Comedy has played a huge part in that. I'll make fun of myself for my little...
Well, tell us a knock-knock joke then.
It doesn't work like that.
I'm just messing around. Keep going.
Knock-knock, who's there? Not my sanity today. She checked out.
Right.
No, but comedy has been a huge, huge, huge part of that. I joke. Nothing is off the table. And I will never not say a joke. As someone who wants to be in comedy, and I'm doing it.
Are you?
I'm doing the thing that makes me uncomfortable. Being on stage is like, so terrifying.
Oh, it's horrifying.
It's so scary. I signed up to do stand-up comedy.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm getting up on the stage.
Well, here we go. You're creating purpose. Now, is it going to make you money? Are you going to be famous? Are you going to be rich? It doesn't really fucking matter.
Yeah, no.
What matters is you're creating purpose. You're getting yourself out of the comfort zones that you're normally in.
Dude, and there's nothing that makes me feel better about myself than other people laughing or hating my material. I like the feedback. I love constructive criticism. It's fantastic. I don't know what it is, but something about people being like, oh, that was shit. This is where you could do better. It's fantastic, and I love it. But I also love the reaction of laughter. People laughing, enjoying themselves, having a good time because of me. Oh, my people pleaser personality goes ballistic. It's so good. But there's also a little bit of like a sadistic part of it too. Like I'm like a god in their eyes. No, I don't know. It's just a tiny little part of me.
Well, no, it's the same thing that everybody on stage struggles with, and that's power.
Oh yeah.
Like you control everything that goes on. Pastors do it. Politicians, comedians, actors, you just run down the line. Singers, it's the endorphins, it's the oxytocin, whatever it is that sparks in you. It's that very thing. You're controlling a narrative and bringing joy to people's lives. Why wouldn't you be happy about that?
Exactly. It just comes to show why I'm so glad I never went into a position of a police officer or a politician.
All right.
Because I would be so corrupt.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I know it right now. I'd be I'd cause all the problems. I'd be in the news so much. But instead I chose comedy because making people laugh is harmless. No, actually, some of the jokes are not harmless, but at the end of the day,
they're not, but
it's for a laugh.
But it's a joke.
I don't mean it.
I mean, if you want to be offended, just listen to Ricky Gervais or Chris Rock or,
People pay to get into these places? Yes. Pay me for me to hurt your feelings.
Right. Matt Rife, that dude, oh my God.
He's funny.
He is. I love how he interacts with the crowd and gets it going. He's witty, man.
So, Daniel Sloss. Hilarious.
Sloss? How do you spell that?
Sloss.
Sloss. Okay.
Yeah. Oh. Has to be one of my favorite comedians and has a great podcast as well. But I also like the big names like Bert Kreischer, big fan. Tom Segura, love him.
Yeah.
I still love all of those names. Those are big people for me in comedy. But when it comes to like the mental healing part of it, I feel like Daniel Sloss was the first comedian where I was like, okay, maybe this is something I need to get into. Like, the laughter and the ability to cope by making the most horrific jokes at the most inappropriate time, it's insane, and it's huge for me. And I'm so happy that that's my way of coping, and that's my way of healing. Because...
So that's important right there. I'm going to stop you. Not only have you given yourself purpose, you're excited for yourself. Like, even in the anticipation of failure, because you will have failure. Every person that's ever walked on stage has failed. They will tell you this, all the big names. And they all struggle with the same damn thing, and they're getting the same thing you're getting out of it. It's important to recognize that you will fail, but it's also important to recognize that you're excited for yourself.
There's no fear in the failure anymore.
That's good.
Like, before, like, a little over a year ago, no, still, like, less than a year ago, I was still living in constant state of fear. Because when you're dealing with suicidal thoughts and you're dealing with addiction, you are in a constant state of fear.
Yeah.
Even if it isn't immediately recognizable.
It's the world.
Everything's scary.
Well, and everything is an outward pressure that's coming in.
Yep.
Everything.
Yeah.
And you feel it all, and you recognize it all, and you see the detriment in it, and then you see it in your own life.
Yeah.
And yeah, when you start looking hard, it's like it's very easy to go down a nihilistic road.
Yeah. And now the fear, it's lifting. In a lot of aspects, a lot of things I used to be afraid of, there's no fear anymore. And the stuff that is still lingering, it's lightening.
Why do you think you're getting away from the fear aspect? What's happening?
I think I've accepted that I can heal, that it's a possibility. And I've accepted that life is hard, and life is shit, and life sucks, and that I can make the best out of it. I don't know. I think it's just finally realizing that I can be myself, and I can love myself, and that there is a path for good, and that I don't have to stay on the dark path because that's not my only option. Like, I think there's no longer a fear because I know I can pull myself out of it. I've found methods that are working, and they might not work forever. I'm going to have to find new methods. I'm going to have to find things to keep me on this positive path. But
well, yeah, you're always going to have to maintain in some form or fashion.
But now I know I can do it.
Right.
Now I know that that's a possibility.
I'm curious about this because this is the important part. It's kind of what I talk about, and that's like, if especially for people like myself, severely traumatized, I never had anybody come alongside me and kick the asteroid in a different direction, and I think I needed to because I couldn't think for myself. I was so conditioned in the life that I was living, I didn't know there was anything else besides that. Now I understand that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a little bit of, is there anything pinpoint that you decided, or an event that happened where I guess that would have been the pregnancy is the event.
That was definitely the kickstart into needing something more positive.
Yeah. So a negative event impacted your life in a positive way.
Yeah. Which makes perfect sense for me. I have all these negative things that have happened, and I have all this shit that some of it I haven't even talked about. And I think it's just because my brain doesn't think it's relevant. Like, to other people it would be.
But it is, and that's the thing. Like, if so many people downplay their own story and think it's not relevant. They think, well, I haven't been through enough to justify my negative thought process, or maybe they're so deep into it they just don't even recognize anymore. And I think that's what I do. Like, I've been doing this so long that some of the pains that I've felt I've forgotten, but they're still there just because I've, I figured they'd always be there.
Yeah, those are the ones where they pop up in your head and you're like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah, they're the random ones that just kind of pinpoint.
For me, in this might be messed up. I look at them in a positive light now, and I couldn't tell you where the switch came in.
Well, that's not messed up. It's perspective change. It's a paradigm shift of psyche is what happens.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you exactly when. I could tell you like time frame relatively when this started to happen and when I noticed it started to happen, but I'd say it was probably around when I turned 21, around that month.
Okay.
I just noticed this. I'd get those memories that pop up, or I'd get those things that triggered trauma, and instead of my fear of those things kicking in, my need to cope and like need to run away or go do something that gives me that positive high to get away from it. Instead, like, I felt myself looking into the trauma and like, oh.
So you're leaning in now.
I'm leaning in and I'm pulling out the positive aspects of myself that came out of those.
Right. Well, and you don't want to let the negative go, and it's not to harbor it, but it's to say, well, this is the lesson that I've learned, and it no longer hurts me, but I definitely learned a lesson from this pain. So I don't generally forget the pain, but I can let the pain go.
Yeah. Forgiveness.
It is.
It is. I've done a lot of internal forgiving and external forgiving.
Yeah.
So I've forgiven a lot of people, and I'm starting to forgive myself.
Yeah.
And that's a huge part of the positivity aspect of it.
You know, as you say, forgiving yourself, I think of, I have friends who, and not just one, I have several that cut and they feel guilty. We don't know how to slip up and forgive and move on ourselves. It's a harboring of bad emotion and bad feeling and shame, and it's all these detriments when you're just like, well, you know, I didn't want to do that, but I did do that, and I don't want to do it again. So, but I'm not going to beat myself up. The more I beat myself up, the more likelihood that the occurrence will reoccur.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it came down to realizing that I'm a human being. I am flawed. I have my struggles. And I have things that I deal with. But we aren't designed perfectly. Like, even if, at the end of the day, God may exist, God may not exist. I choose to believe that he does. But if he didn't, even if we were created by evolution, full-on evolution, or created by God.
What makes you think God can't create evolution?
And no, that's what I believe. I fully believe, like, but for me, I don't believe in the we came from like apes and shit, because I could just be like, screw science. I just choose not to believe in that. But part of me,
it's highly unlikely since we still have chimpanzees.
Right? Like, that part of my brain is like,
and silverback gorillas.
There's something fishy
bonobos
there.
And,
right?
Yeah.
But I think evolution is flawed. Dude, some of the animals that exist today, I'm like, why?
Well, they're alien in nature.
Yeah.
I mean, they're goofy looking.
I'm like, why in today's society does a creature like this exist? Where the heck did you go wrong, evolution?
You know, what's the purpose? But that's the funny thing. There is purpose.
Yeah, my point of it being, it's still flawed. Like, we as people, so many flaws. Diseases, mental illness, like that's...
Well, is creation flawed or is humanity flawed? And because humanity's had the biggest impact on creation.
Yeah.
On the environment, on...
I think it's a bit of
everything.
both. I mean, like, I know biblically, like, God's creation is perfect, but
It's perfectly flawed.
yeah, he chose to let us be flawed. So there is that.
I think we have a very
This conversation could go on
well,
forever.
because, and this is going to be a rabbit trail if we're not careful. I think all of humanity, I mean all, have a misconception. If you're Christian, you have a misconception of God. If you're Muslim, you have a misconception of Allah. Like Buddhist, everything. Like, and I think part of that is, well, we've been lied to so much for so long.
Yeah.
And not just us as a society, but humanity. So we don't really understand what is and what's to come and what has been.
Exactly. I have a really hot take on this that people from our community for sure hate, because I've talked to a lot of people about it and gotten a lot of negative feedback, but I choose for it to be my belief. Based off of nothing. So it's an irrational belief, but it makes me happy. I fully believe that if we have an all-knowing, all-loving God who understands us completely, why in the hell would he be under the assumption that everybody would be able to understand and believe the same concept of him? Where there's so many different cultures and there's so many different areas of the world that have never been touched by the other areas of the world.
Well, yeah.
So why wouldn't he choose to make multiple ways of understanding him?
Well, see, now you're being sacrilegious.
Oh.
But you might be onto something.
Oh no. Am I hurting people's viewpoints that have been ingrained into their head?
Well, and that's the thing. It's there's a lot of indoctrination, and we all go through it in some form or fashion in whatever area of life we're in. And you can take that to atheism, to Buddhism, to Christianity, to everybody's indoctrinated in some form or fashion. Because if you're listening to an atheist, you're being indoctrinated. If you're listening to a Christian, you're being indoctrinated. If you're listening to somebody who's neutral, you're being indoctrinated because they have opinions.
You right now.
You are. And that's where you have to weigh life for your own.
Yeah.
The avenues to spirituality are pretty simple. It's meditation.
Yeah.
It's engagement in the unseen. So, but anyway, let's get back on track.
Back onto everyone's flawed, and I've just decided to accept the fact that I messed up.
Yeah.
I'm no longer choosing to see, and it's hard. Oh, it's hard. But I'm actively choosing whenever I get those negative thoughts to reroute them and be like, no, you're messed up. It's okay. Like, yes, this is a problem, but it's nothing that can't be fixed, or it's nothing that can't be changed into a positive light. Because there are some things about me that I will never be able to fix.
Right.
I can't.
Well, if you're looking for perfection, you'll never find it. But
no.
If you accept your imperfection, you might actually find perfection.
Yeah, I'm accepting the imperfections, and I'm changing what I can. I'm actively trying to get into a place of self-acceptance and self-love. I'm never going to be fully comfortable with who I am. And I don't think anyone is fully comfortable with who they are, because that would be perfection.
Is it? Or is it just because I'm discovering more and more about myself? Like, I'm becoming more and more comfortable with who I am. Like, but I also am not concerned what society thinks of me anymore.
Like, I don't care what society thinks, but...
Well, let me stop. Hold on. I don't care what society thinks, but I do care what I think and how I conduct myself in society.
Yeah.
It's not a show. I care about people, so I'm going to act like I care about people.
Yeah. Yeah. The reason I don't think I'll ever be fully settled with myself is I know I'm going to have a moment of slip up where I maybe am not the kindest to somebody, or maybe felt like I said the wrong thing. And I'm not going to like that, because those momentary momentary little wrongdoings, they'll always be there, and I can't fully get rid of them because, once again, I'm human, and I'm gonna have bad days, and I'm gonna be hungry and not gotten enough sleep and want to run somebody over with my car, but I can't change those things. Like, those are things that I don't think I can fish them out of the pond. So there's gonna be that little side of me that's like, oh, I hate that I'm that way, but I understand why I'm that way.
I think Mother Teresa talked about this because she struggled with her humanity as well. And she's probably one of the kindest people that we have as a representation, besides the Dalai Lama or, like Desmond Tutu or like.
Yeah. I don't trust people that don't have those negative thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have to fight for the nice, positive person. Like, I don't trust the people where they see their friend and they're not like, oh man, would I love to trip his ass up right now? Or like
right.
Just those little small things where like you see something crossing the road and you're like, 10 points. I don't trust the people that don't have that thought.
Well, you don't want to know my thoughts the other day. They were dark as fuck. Even one of my best friends, he's like, dude, that was really fucking dark.
Right?
And I was like, but that's the reality, and I need to talk about it.
I actively fight those every day, but instead of like this super negative, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I think that. Why would I think that? I'm such a horrible person. I'm like, no, this is hilarious. Like, that little voice in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, you funny bastard. Like, it's it's a part of me that I don't necessarily love, but
I often tell people that that hear my story, that have the whole thing, and I was like, I'm fairly convinced that I was a very small step away from being a school shooter. I was twisted. I was very, very twisted. My mind was twisted as a boy. I look back and I don't recognize that boy. I was disconnected in so many ways, and my conscience was full of rage and anger and tantrums, and nobody wanted to be around me. Not one of my classmates played with me.
Were you the black hoodie, dark music, just jamming out in the corner like?
No, I was the weird fucker that was crying all the time.
Oh.
I was a super emotional, broken kid. I lied, I cheated, I stole, I pushed, I pushed this girl down a ravine walking home from school just because I was walking faster behind her and she was in my way. And there was so much road to go around her. Like, I was dark as fuck. I literally pushed her down a ravine.
Yeah.
But something happened. Like, I remember like that, like it was yesterday. And there was just a little bit of something that kept me from going over that edge.
Yeah.
But I should have.
I argue this might be a little bit of a narcissistic thing, like a thought. Like, this thought process is 100% like narcissist. But I'd argue that we are way better people than the people that don't have to fight against those negative thoughts. Like, they don't have that negative backlash voice that's telling them to do something messed up. We have that, and we're just like, no, be a good person. You have to be kind. You can't do these messed up things. Like, we have to fight against that. So my argument here is, are we better people?
Well, I don't think so. I think we deal with a heavier darkness than they do. And they've had something in them at some point in their life. Maybe they didn't have a great home. Maybe they didn't have, but they're still, their natural propensity is to be kind.
Yeah.
And I think that's genuine. I tell you what, I would rather have that than this. I would rather have genuine kindness and love for people than having to work at it all the time, because I have to work at it. I have to remind myself every day to be loving to people. And it's not that I'm not. It's that I want to be aware that I'm being an asshole.
Yeah.
And if I'm aware that I'm being kind, then I'm also aware when I go south and start being unkind. and I can feel it in every bit of my tone and my voice and my body and my demeanor. They're everything. I'm always aware of who I am.
Yeah.
Because I'm consciously trying.
I get the not wanting to be that way.
Yeah.
But where I stand, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm that way. It helps with comedy. So much.
It does.
It helps with creativity. Like, without the darkness, I feel like I'd be a pretty bland person.
Well, it'd be like a Kirk Cameron movie.
I need the spice. I need the spice of the darkness.
I'm going to have to take that out.
Oh, no.
Do you know who Kirk Cameron is?
Yes.
Okay.
Gosh.
That's why I always tell my friends when they leave me, I'm like, well, I feel Kirk Cameron right now. Left behind.
Yeah, but I need the spice. I love the flavor of the darkness. It's just, it adds that little bit of riz into my comedy.
It's the sinister nature of the darkness.
Yeah. I feel like the most traumatized people are the funniest.
Yeah, but they are the most traumatized.
Yeah.
That's Robin Williams right there.
Yeah.
He's one of the funniest men on the planet, and he was
Nobody expected
tortured.
that. Nobody
tortured. Knew. Well, his close people did.
Check up on your funny friends.
Yeah.
They're struggling. Check up on them.
Funny people do struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe ask them how their day was. Something. Because we're dying inside.
Well, and there's always this assumption that if you're a comedian that you're happy.
Yeah. And I think more comedians are starting to talk on that's not necessarily the case.
Well, it's generally not the case.
Yeah.
It's the avenue. It's like this. This is the avenue to relieve the pressure cooker.
Oh, yeah. If
I can talk, I can keep it on a, like I function at this. You add rage and anger and then depression. You got these two levels of these two underlying tones that are always in my life at a constant vibration. And I'm always having to turn the volume down on them and make sure that they're not going to get out of control. Man, that's tough.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I guess my story is not ending. So, as of now, who knows?
Right.
You never know. Might switch up again. I don't.
Well, and as you experience failure in the heart of finding joy, it'll do one of two things. It'll push you backwards, or you'll dig in and you'll find that failure as a teacher.
It can accelerate you forward.
Yeah. And it can be horrific sometimes, and it can be heartbreaking, and it can send you down a path, but that's where you start finding strength in the joy to say, I know this is going to happen again, or at least there's a good possibility that it will happen again. So these are the tools I'm going to put in place to combat that. So I only spend a little bit of time in the darkness, and I can get out of it and start moving forward again.
Yeah.
Because we think that there's this all healing, everything's going to be okay. And that's why they do medication. Because they can't solve it. They can't cure it. They can't heal it. But they can subdue it for long periods of time. And they can keep you numb for long periods of time. The important thing is to face your struggles and your fears and your hardships and your addictions. And you were talking about, it was almost like this when you started accepting yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what happened to me. I was like, and I'll relate this to my belief system, because that's where it happened. I was like, if God is this all-loving God and he likes some shithead like me, fine, then I'll just accept myself. I like my drugs. I like my liquor. I like my women. I like my pornography. I like all this other stuff. And the counterintuitive, or the the very thing that I embraced began to peel away. And that was myself. All those layers of those things that I love so much and that kept me medicated in a lot of ways. Like I haven't watched porn in a year and a half. I have no interest in it whatsoever. It's actually disgusting to me now. I can't even.
That's so good.
Like I thought I always considered it the best man. They're a single man's best friend, and it's like,
oh, it's so detrimental to you.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm an older man now, and was struggling. I'm diabetic, brain tumor, struggling with the old uppity up on the wean, and and since I stopped watching porn,
yeah,
I'm
better,
like a spry 20-year-old again. Like
I've
that
heard
shit
that.
messes with your mind, and you don't know it. And I didn't go into this and say I'm going to get away from porn, because no, it's the only, like, I've been single for 5 years, and I'm not promiscuous, so I've been single for 5 years.
Yeah.
And it took, like, pornography took so much away from me as a man. It actually created depression for me.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't getting what I thought was necessary in a relationship. And I didn't have this unrealistic image of what it was going to be, or lasting, or weird positions or weird shit. I mean, that wasn't my thing, but like, I've always visualized women, and there's just something about the visual nature of it that always did something for me.
Yeah.
And now it's,
as it does for most people.
Yeah. And well, I've been away from that part of it, just the actual physical part of it for so long. But also now that the pornography is gone, it's like, and even when I'm like struggling, that's not even on my mind anymore. It's the weirdest damn thing, because I didn't try to stop watching porn. I literally thought
You just did.
One day I was like, I don't like that about myself anymore.
Yeah.
And that's not who I want to be. And I don't care what anybody else thinks, but that's just not who I want to be.
Which I've done a little bit of research on that, because of my addiction. I wanted to know how other people like dealt with that kind of stuff, because that's a level of a sex addiction. That's a level of it.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And I did, through a lot of my research, I found out that in older men, when they stopped watching porn, a lot of the like erectile dysfunction and that kind of stuff, it stopped and it got better.
Yeah.
Or their sex drive actually went up. In a lot of young men, the sex drive is going down significantly because of porn.
And they say it's not repairable. Like, I feel pretty damn lucky that, like, this wasn't like but I could feel the effect on me. Like, especially being physically ill or whatever, being diabetic, I could feel those effects happening to me. And be like, what am I going to do? I got to really work at this. And then I got to take supplements. And then it's like, well, nobody wants to do that.
Well, the amount of people that are now on hormone therapy and all that other kind of stuff is insane.
Oh, we have no idea the long-term effects of this.
Chemically, hormonally, it messes you up severely. This is what we're starting to see.
Yeah.
Heavy amounts of depression, anxiety because of self-hate around it.
Yeah.
There's...
Well, not just self-hate, but hate for your partner or spouse.
Yeah. It messes up your brain chemically significantly. So it's a really dangerous addiction. So...
Yeah, it is. Well, that's true. Yeah, I think a lot of most addictions are dangerous in their own right, and they generally lead to something else. Is my guess. At least that's what I've seen.
Yeah, but it's once you start to accept yourself, the negative parts start to fall off.
They do. It's the weirdest counterintuitive thing you could do.
It's so weird because you're like, okay, I'm okay with the fact that I have these problems. Like, I'm okay with it. Like, these are here. They might never go away, but I'm no longer gonna beat myself up for it. And with me doing that as well, there have been things that have just kind of fallen away, and I've noticed like a lighter, more relaxed feeling when things are starting to fall away.
Well, why not accept the very person that you're already acting out as being?
Right?
Like, it doesn't, like, and it's the count. Why would I accept such a terrible person? Well, because once you do, you start looking at that terrible person.
Because they need love too.
Well, and you're like, well, I don't want you to be that anymore. And we're gonna reroute. We're gonna switch that up. And we're gonna stop watching porn. And we're gonna stop smoking this. And we're gonna stop doing this. And I don't know what I'm gonna supplement that with. It may be nothing, but I'm not gonna be that anymore. And if I can work on one thing at a time and just love that, love myself through that, not beat myself up through it, but love myself through it, I can start making progress and find joy.
Well, if you believe in Jesus, that's exactly that. That's exactly that story that you can turn on to yourself. Like, he picked a prostitute. He picked murderers. He picked thieves. He picked people that did the worst of the worst things and loved them.
Yeah.
And those people with that little bit of love started to love themselves.
Well, they echo through thousands of years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you got murderers, adulterers, killers. I mean, they were brutal men in a brutal time and saw something and became something different.
Yeah. And you have to love the things that you hate.
Well, it doesn't even matter if you believe in Jesus or not. That's a damn good story.
Yeah.
Like, you got a man, I don't care what you believe. You got a man that makes his presence known in his region of the world, and just simply, like, I don't care what you read in the Bible, break it down. It's one thing. It's two words: love people.
It's a hell of a story too. Like, even if you aren't biblical, if you read the Bible,
the stories are freaking awesome.
Plot twist on plot twist on plot twist.
Well, people get so hung up on the murder and God opened the earth and killed everybody and flooded and he's a cruel God and maybe we're just dumb fucking people.
Oh, definitely the latter of those two.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and you know, they're like, well, they flooded the earth and the chaos and, you know, can you imagine what those people were before, what they became?
Right.
They were just lawless. Have you ever lived in a lawless community or society?
Oh, that sounds terrifying.
Oh my God. Murder, mayhem, rape, child, everything.
What I like to do.
Taking. I mean, just taking.
When I hear those people that are like, well, why could you believe in this? Like, all this stuff in the Old Testament, God was such a cruel God. Can you imagine having that power and not getting angry and being like, oh, do you want to fuck around and find out? Because you'll find out. Like, I know if I had that kind of power, oh my gosh, the earth would be flooded again.
Well, and that's where I think we have a very large misconception of creation and God.
Yeah.
If you believe in God, I think start asking questions. But
it's natural to ask questions.
Well, yeah.
We're innately curious creatures, and to not have questions, it just makes you a sheep. It does.
Well, there are a lot of sheep.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of them.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have anything. The farther I go down this path, the less animosity I have for Christianity, because I know it's spread through every religion, every practice. And someone will say, well, that's not my practice because I belong to a hippie commune and everybody's love and peace. Everybody's got freaking problems. Everybody miscalculates this life. Everybody falls short.
I'm a firm believer that every mass idea group, whether this is religion, political lifestyle, all of them push self-hate. Like, they put a cute label on it
That's
to make
fair.
it look like it's not self-hate, but
That's actually a good point.
hey, you're doing this, you shouldn't do this. Hey, you shouldn't hate yourself. But then you hate yourself for hating yourself. And all of them push self-hate. And if they were to just be like, hey, guys, actually, you're fine who you are.
Well,
Maybe try that.
That's walking beside somebody.
Yeah.
It's not dragging them along. It's not pushing them along. It's walking beside them. When they kneel, you kneel. When they sit, you sit. When they need strength, you help them back up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's
when
just
they jump off a bridge, you jump off the bridge.
Yeah, and guess what? That's a whole new concept to helping people.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm going to medicate you. Oh, you have this. Well, you need a psychologist. And, oh, you have this? I'm the psychologist. Now you need medication. That's like, well, no, let's release the pressure first.
Yeah.
Do some people need it? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, I fully agree.
Yeah. But I'm no psychologist. But I think medication for mental illness should be temporary unless it's severe mental illness.
I've always felt the same. Do I believe it helps people significantly?
Oh, yeah. It's helped me several times over my life.
But I don't think it should be a forever thing. Numbing yourself forever is dangerous. I was on my medication it took me I was on it for the amount of time they told me to be on it to give it a chance. And immediately I was like, okay, absolutely not.
It's hard to be on because, yeah, you're not depressed. Well, you are, but you're not living in the hell that you normally live in. But you're not happy either. And you don't really feel emotion very much. And it's kind of just this dullness to life.
I have what I say is a healthy amount of voices in my head. Like,
right, I do too. And I would sit here and question my sanity at times because of what I see.
Yeah.
And and some people would maybe say, well, that's a little schizophrenic. Well, maybe it is. Problem is I'm fucking sane.
Right.
And
at least I'm never alone.
Well, I would rather be alone from what I see.
I definitely have those ones too, where I'm just like, holy shit, man, would you leave my brain for a couple seconds? Like, no, but medication, like, completely silenced all of that. Oh, I hated it.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know what to do with myself. Like, I remember vividly riding in a car with my grandma to go get a burger from this really good burger joint we have in town. And
you're slobbering on the window the whole way.
Oh my gosh. And I couldn't even think about the joy
that's from the medication, not because you're getting a burger.
I know. I couldn't even think about the joy that I was about to experience with these burgers. And I was like, oh, I hate this. I looked over at my grandma and went, I feel nothing. And in the most monotone, horrible way, I just go, I feel nothing. And she laughed. And that's when I was like, oh, this is not for me. I was like, I should maybe not be on the medication. And
well, yeah, and that's why I think I'm convinced to, it's great that we have the counselors that care about people, and we have and things that are available to help us with those coping mechanisms. But I'm a firm believer that it's not should never be permanent. Like 1 to 3 years with good counseling, maybe even intense counseling, and then you should be like moving in a positive, like light and direction. Like that 2nd and 3rd year of counseling, you should be on your way to changing the course of your life in the direction.
Or else we need to find another path for you.
Yeah.
It blows my mind that counseling, or at least directed conversation is not required with medication.
Right.
They'll just give you meds and be like, and now you're better.
You're depressed. You have suicidal thoughts. Well, maybe we should have you evaluated.
Yeah.
And then if you say it more than too much, if we think you're even remotely serious, we'll lock you up, give you some medication, and then we'll talk you off the ledge. It's like, how about we just have a fucking conversation?
Yeah. Like, how about when I come in to get help, instead of terrifying me, you actually have a solid conversation with me, figure out what's going on, and then create a line of treatment that's actually going to do some positive instead of just throwing a prescription at me and telling me to be on my way. I seriously think that it should be required. If you are going to get these prescription medications that alter your mindset, you should be required to be in counseling or talk to somebody once a week.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And that's also becoming a problem of we need to have access to therapy that isn't insanely expensive.
True. I mean, that is it. It took me about. I started going to counseling when I was 10, for damn good reason. The problem was that every counselor I ever went to, I was smarter than. I knew myself already at such a young age. I knew what made me tick. So that may have been a problem with, being emotionally intelligent at such a young age. But I did find a counselor. It was my last attempt. It was a Hail Mary, and it was a Christian counselor. And I was very much adverse to Christianity at the time, which you can kind of hear in my tone in my podcast. And I try to be careful because I don't really I'm trying not to be
anti certain religions.
Well, just hurtful towards something that really hurt me.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I get that.
That I gave my life to, that pretty much destroyed my life. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I won't get into that, but anyway, at least not right now. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, I don't want to. With the counseling, it was a last ditch effort. It was a Hail Mary. It was, and I told my counselor when I walked in, I was like, if you try to pray with me, I'm leaving. If we talk about religion, I'm leaving. And she's like, this is your time. You can talk about whatever you want. If you want to talk about religion, we'll talk about religion. If you don't, I'll never bring it up. So I was like, okay. So we set some ground rules, and she's very okay with that. And as we went through the counseling, I started to find joy. And I found life.
Is she local here?
Used to be, yeah.
Used to be local here. Is she an older lady?
No, she's in her, I don't know how old she was. Maybe mid 30s to early 40s.
Oh,
maybe younger than that,
Because I had a very similar counselor. It just didn't end up working for me. I didn't really enjoy counseling. I enjoyed kind of just processing things out loud to myself. Like I just talked to myself, and that felt more impactful. But I very much enjoyed my time with my counselor, and she had the same way about her.
Like the same mentality or same approach.
She was the Christian counselor, and I went, hey, I do have spirituality, but I don't want to bring that into my counseling. I'd rather leave that to the side. And she goes, no problem. This is your time. You get to lead this. She goes, I'm not going to cross your hard boundaries. Those are your hard no's for a reason. And I was like, wow, this is a positive human relationship.
Well, it's a smart way of allowing you to talk about something that's hurt you so deeply. And I ended up talking about my spirituality quite a bit, actually.
Yeah. It's the thing that you don't want to talk about, and you're like, we're not going to do this.
Well, I don't want to be told by one more person to pray about all my fucking problems.
Right.
I've been praying for my problems since I was a boy.
Mm-hmm.
And all my problems keep compounding. It's like, prayer's not the answer. I need perspective change. I need paradigm shift. I need help.
Yeah.
I need to untangle the mind that is so twisted. That's been so. It's like a sponge just getting wrung out, and that stays twisted. It dries twisted.
Yeah.
And it needs something fresh to open it back up.
Yeah. Definitely to end as a preference. I want to say if you feel like you need the help and you need to go get medication or counseling or anything like that, like, I want people to know that that's a good thing.
Yeah, don't be ashamed.
And you should do it. You should 100% do it. Like, don't wait till it's too late. Oh, man. Like,
Well,
don't wait until you're forced into it.
I'll give you a little funny story at the end of this.
No, I'm always down for a giggle.
So I'm supposed to be going to this Elton John party tonight.
Oh.
So, there's Elton John, what is it, like an impersonator band? And I get to dress up in Elton John attire.
That's awesome.
So I was in the department store today in the women's section.
Yeah.
And I'm a pretty, like, skater, motorcycles.
Yes, you are. That's 100% your
kind of a manly kind of guy.
Yeah.
I love the woods and camping, all this. But I've got all these women's clothes in my hands. And I'm like, I honestly don't give two shits what these people think. I take them to the dressing room and I'm trying on women's clothes for the first time since I was like 7 years old. My sister dressed me up as a girl.
I love that.
And I'm just busting up laughing in the freaking dressing room. It was good. It was good.
Oh, that's awesome. I feel like my style, I'm not super feminine. I don't think you've ever seen me like super feminine. Like, I'm over here right now in a type of hat that men usually wear, like the 5-panel hiker's hat and sweatpants and a Harley Davidson sweatshirt, and I have clogs on, like, not the epitome of femininity. So I think it's hilarious that you were over here just giggling, cracking up, because I do the same thing when I put on that, like, really feminine stuff. I'm like, this does not feel natural.
Oh, I'm going to be so out of place tonight.
I want pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I walked in here and I was like, who did he have over? Like, why? I was like, what are these clothes? And then now hearing that, I'm like, oh, man, I want to see that outfit.
Right. I just got to find my glittery thong and I'll be good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll help you find one.
That's right. All right, let's close this out. Any other last words of advice? Encouragement?
Accept yourself.
Yeah.
Like, accept yourself and understand that you can get better. Like,
hopefully, yeah. I mean, it's a hard road for people. It's a hard road for me. I mean, that's why this whole freaking thing started.
Yeah. I mean, there are people out there that have similar experiences to you.
Oh, yeah.
Find one.
Even in the worst ways. You think that somebody else doesn't have it. They do, and I think we discovered that in the second podcast. Is like, people deal with dark stuff.
Don't be afraid to tell your story.
Yeah.
Because you might find someone that dealt with similar things and got out of it.
Well, you just kind of touched on something there. Exposure.
Yeah.
When you can expose yourself, you can do something about yourself.
Yeah.
And you don't want to expose yourself to the wrong people. And I don't mean like, trench coat exposure. It's emotional exposure. It's giving somebody that you can, and that's the hard thing. Who do I trust?
Emotionally streaking.
Yes, you are emotionally streaking.
We need to accept that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Society of emotional streakers. That's how we're going to end this.
Yeah.
Go out there and be
An emotional streaker.
an emotional streaker amongst men.
And do it with the intention of being part of the solution, not part of the problem.
Exactly. Yep. That's a good note.
On that, thanks for joining the Suicide Monk.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Courtney.
Glad to be here.
Appreciate it.
It's been fun.
Peace out, and we'll see you on the flip side. All right, well, that's the conclusion of addiction, sex, and suicide. Join us next week for a special episode, 2-part series also, of a young woman who lost her husband and left behind 5 kids. Heartbreaking. And not only that, there's also a twist. You know, it's more than one suicide. So, a beautiful story, heartwarming, heartbreaking. Please join us and support her. I also have a GoFundMe started for somebody that, I know a lot of people that can use therapy, but this young woman, she needs help. She needs to talk to somebody on a regular basis, on a professional level. So I will put that link in the bottom, and you can support this if you'd like, if you feel led. If not, just leave a comment. If there's other content you want to hear, or if you want to be part of this, if you have a story that you want to tell, and you may think it's insignificant, but run it by me, because I think most stories are significant. I think they're important. So thank you for listening. Peace out.